Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Okay. All right. Once that is there, now let us go ahead, okay, and see how do we expand the basically the total displacement, or how do we write down the total displacement as a sum of different mode shape, and we'll call this, okay, let us say I have the total displacement. Remember, for the nth mode I write down, okay, I wrote for the nth mode the displacement would be the mode shape times the q and t. And remember, q and t, we have already said that it is of the form an cos omega nt plus bn sin omega nt. Okay, but let us say at any time t equal to some time t0. Okay, I'm going to remove this term t here just to represent that at a specific time my un is equal to pi n times q n. Okay, now one place that students often get confused is between the subscript that they use for the mode shape and the degree of freedom. Remember, if you have uij represents the degree of freedom and the second subscript j represents the mode number. So do not get confused in between. So when I'm saying un, I'm only talking about contribution of nth mode to the displacement at each degree of freedom. So if I write it like this, it would be u1n, u2n, and unn, and that is equal to phi. So same goes for phi ij as well, or any other response quantity. Okay, this is phi 1j, phi 2j, and phi nj times qn. Okay, so you'll have to, like, look at and think about it again and again just to understand. This is for the nth mode. These are not the total displacement at each degree of freedom. This is contribution of the nth mode to the each degree of freedom in nth mode. Okay, now the total displacement, of course, my u, which is each degree of freedom u1, u2, and u, let us say nt, this would be actually equal to, okay, sum of all these u1n, okay, plus u2n plus so on, okay, un, not nn here, sorry, okay, this would be u2n, is this here one? No, this is u11, sorry, I made a mistake, u11, okay, u12, and then it goes up to u1n. Okay, sum of each of the mode. Okay, so u21, u22, and so on. Okay, u2n and so on, un1 plus un2, unn. Okay, so this is for, I mean, this quantity is basically this much, this quantity is this much, because I need to sum up contribution for the each mode to get the total response at each degree of freedom. And this would nothing be but, okay, phi 1, pi 2, 1, and so on times q1, plus for the second mode it would be phi 1, 2, pi 2, times q2, and so on. So basically what I'm doing, I'm writing down the total response as the sum of responses due to individual mode at each degree of freedom like this. So I can write down the same equation as my displacement vector as equal to summation r equal to 1 to n, okay, phi r times qr. Can I do that? This is my phi 1, this is my phi 2. Okay, so phi 1 times q1 plus phi 2 times q2 and so on. So this is basically I'm writing now. This is the total displacement, not the nth mode like this. This is the total displacement. Okay, that is basically this vector. Is this clear to all of you? So this summation can also be written as, okay, phi times, which is the modal matrix, times a vector q, where you already know that phi is phi 1, phi 2, okay, like this, phi n. And q is a vector which is basically q1, q2, q3, so on. Okay, when you multiply this phi times q, basically you get this here, right? You get phi 1 times q1, phi 2 times q2, phi n times q1 like that. Okay, so the total displacement, okay, let me again write it. The total displacement is sum of displacement due to each mode. Okay, and the contribution is represented by QR, which is called the modal coordinate. QR is your modal coordinate. Okay, so remember, now my goal is to find out what is this modal coordinate, which represents some sort of contribution of each mode to the total response, right? Because I know what is my QR, sorry, phi r, that is the mode shape that I have determined. Okay, so if I have to find out the total response, okay, I need to find out the modal coordinate. Once that is done, then I have completed my problem in a sense that I need, or I have mode shapes and I have contribution. So I know that if I'm given any excitation, okay, I'm going to calculate my QR, multiply with the phi n, and then I can get the total response. Are the steps clear up to this point? Anybody has any doubt? If no, let us see how do we get the QR. Okay, so to get the QR, again I am going to use the property of orthogonality. So what I'm going to do, pre-multiply this and this expression by another mode shape, which is phi n transpose. So the equation that I get is, and let us drop here t. I don't care about t here. Okay, just u here. So phi n times u is equal to summation r equal to 1 to n phi n, okay, times, sorry, not phi n t, sorry, pre-multiply with phi n transpose times the mass matrix. Okay, there is reason I am doing that. Okay, because I know that if I do that and multiply a different mode transpose to another mode, then it would be equal to 0 for all the cases except when the same mode shape is multiplied with itself. Okay, that's why I'm taking out this quantity and multiplying. So what do I get here? Okay, phi n transpose times mass times u equal to summation r 1 to n phi n t times mass times the vector mode shape qr times QR. Now, on the right hand side, what do you see? I have this expression here, and I know that this expression is equal to 0 if n is not equal to r, or vice versa, r is not equal to n. Okay, so this is 0 if r is not equal to n. So when I expand it, all the terms are going to be 0 except one term when r is equal to 1, r is equal to n. Understood? So I'm again using the property of orthogonality. Okay, so let me write that again. This times m times the vector u, which is the total displacement, is equal to, only r equal to n is going to remain. So I can just substitute r is equal to n in this expression, and the rest of the term would be equal to 0. So this would be phi n t times m times phi n times qn, right? Because r equal to n here. So this quantity qn is what? I can take this term and then write down in the denominator. I will get that as this divided by phi t times n times phi n. Okay. So this is the expression for finding out qn if your u is given. So if, let us say, your structure is undergoing some excitation and you've been given that the, let us say, total displacement vector is some, let us say 2 and 4, and you find out that for this 2 degree of freedom system, what is the contribution of each mode? Okay, so, and I should not say contribution because I mean it's not exactly represent the contribution, but you can say what would be the factor through which these mode shapes are going to contribute to the total response. Okay, so for that you need q1 and q2 so that you can multiply with phi1 vector and phi2 vector so that this total response would become u. This is the goal here. Okay, any doubt up to this point? Okay, remember we said that the total response would be, okay, some factor times the first mode times some factor times the second mode and so on. We know the mode shapes. The problem was I did not know what these factors were. If somehow I can get these factors, I can get my total response. Okay, now that is what I'm trying to get here. Okay, and we found out the expression how to get, okay, how to get each of these factors. Okay, using this expression here. All right, is this clear? Anybody has any doubt up to this point? Okay, if not, then let us do one problem. We have considered this system in the last class where I said this is 2k, this is k, and this is 2m and this is m. Okay, and you found out what the mode shapes were. So there were two mode shapes. These mode shapes were what? Half and 1, and the mode shape, second mode shape was -1 and 1. Now I tell you that the total, let us say it undergoes some vibration due to ground motion or whatever. Yo, that is not important here. The total deformation is actually this. So this is a total response, which basically represents u1t and u2t at any time t. So don't worry about the time. So at that time instance, this is the total displacement. Okay, so I can write it. The total displacement of the system is actually something like this. One at this point and one at this point. So this is u1 and this is u2. What you need to do, find out, okay, what is the factor through which each mode contributes to this total response of 1 and 1. So basically you need to find out Q1 and Q2. Can you do that for me? Okay, take 2 minutes and try to solve for Q1 and Q2 utilizing this expression that we have derived. Okay, take 2 minutes and solve that. Okay, so what would be Q1 here? Q1 would be nothing but first phi1 transpose times the mass matrix times the U vector. Okay, so let me just write down here. The U vector times phi1 transpose times M times the phi1 vector. One more thing, remember that the denominator of this equation is nothing but Mn, the diagonal element of the capital mass matrix. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So if you substitute phi1 transpose, which would become half 1, and then the mass matrix for this was 2m 0 0 m, and U is 1 and 1, and here again half 1 2m 0 0 m, and then 1, sorry, half and 1, the same mode shape. Okay, be very careful with the matrix multiplication. That is the last thing you want to do any mistake during the exam, unnecessarily losing marks because of those small, silly errors. So in this case, I can write this down as half 1 and this one as 2m m, and the denominator 1 half and m and m. So this would become again 2m times half, which would become m and then m. So 2m divided by this would become 3m by 2. Okay, so finally this qm becomes 4 by 3, not m, 4 by 3. Similarly, I can write down q2 as minus 1 1 2m 0 0 m 1 1, okay, minus 1 1 and minus 1 1, and this you can find out as minus 1 by 3. So q1 is 4 by 3, q2 is minus 1 by 3. Okay, so my u1, which is the response contribution of the first mode to the total response, would be basically phi n times q1, which is half 1 times 4 by 3, which gives you 2 by 3. Okay, and then 4 by 3. Okay, and u2 is phi 2 times q2, which is minus 1 1 times minus 1 by 3. Okay, so this gives you 1 by 3 and minus 1 by 3 at the second degree of freedom. Okay, so the total response is u1 plus u2, which basically we have been writing as phi 1 q1 plus phi 2 q2. Okay, so the total response that I get here as 2 by 3 4 by 3 plus 1 by 3 minus 1 by 3, which is basically what? 1 1. Okay, if I add. Okay, so graphically, if I try to represent it, what I have said, the total response, let us say, at any time is 1 and 1 at degree of freedom. Let us say this is u2, this is u1. Okay, this is represented as sum of contribution of each mode multiplied by the contribution factor, which is in first case, remember, if you look at it here, okay, the u1 is nothing but 2 by 3 in mode 1 and 4 by 3 in mode 2. So I can say in mode 2 this is 4 by 3, and this is somewhere around here. So let us call this 2 by 3 plus minus 1 by 3 at mode 2. Okay, so it would be in the negative direction, opposite to minus 1 by 3. And then at this point, positive 1 by 3. Okay, and this is basically mode 1 and mode 2. And this is the total response. So individually also, if you see at each degree of freedom, this one is basically 4 by 3 minus 1 by 3. And at U1, it is 2 by 3 plus 1 by 3. So overall, they sum up to the total mode. So this mode 1 was basically U1, U2, which I can also write as phi1 times Q1, phi2 times Q2, or if you want to write it in terms of values substituted here, 4 by 3 times phi1 plus, or let us say here, okay, let us write it down like this, minus phi2. Okay, so can you see that how each mode is contributing to the total response? And if I get these factors Q1 and Q2, I just need to multiply with the mode shape to get the total response. Okay, this is called the modal expansion of the displacement. Okay, how the total response can be written as a sum of individual response. Is this clear? Any doubt up to this point? Okay, if not, let us move forward. Remember, till now, we have not yet discussed how to get the solution for the free vibration response. Okay, we are still looking into the different properties of the dynamic system and how to actually, or basically learn about the methods and the procedures that would be useful in finding out the response. Okay, now let us talk about, okay, first let us talk about undamped free response or undamped free vibration. So what was our equation of motion? It was m times u double dot times k times u equal to 0. Okay. Now we need to solve this equation. Okay, and some initial conditions would be given to us, right? Like we had for a single degree of freedom system. So in this case, let us say initial conditions are given in terms of initial displacement, which represents the initial displacement of each degree of freedom. Okay. And initial velocity vector, which again represents the, what is your initial velocity at each degree of freedom. So these, we need to solve this equation subject to these initial conditions. Okay, and let us see how do we do that. Okay, we said that for any mode UNT, which is the contribution of the nth mode to the total response, is basically phi n times QNT. Did we not say that? And what else did we say? That QNT is nothing but AN cos omega nt plus Bn sin omega nt. Okay. Now, this is for the nth mode. Okay. Now, just in this case, we were determining Q1 and Q2 at particular time instant. So we had one single value, but at different time instant, Q1 and Q2 would be different. So basically here, Q1 is a function of time, right? And this is what we need to find out. This unknown coefficient A1, AN and Bn need to be found out. Okay, and how do we found that out? This is my UNT for the total displacement or the total. How can we write for the all the modes? My UT would be nothing but summation, okay, of phi n times QNT. Okay, so I just need to sum up for all the modes. Okay, which is, let us call n equal to 1 to n. This is AN cos omega nt plus Bn sine omega nt. So this is my ut. What is u dot t here? I just need to differentiate both sides with respect to time, and I will get this as summation n equal to 1 to n. Okay, I will have omega n, okay, times phi n times this minus an sine omega nt plus bn cos omega nt. Okay. Now if I remember, my goal is to find out an and bn, right? So what I'm going to do, I am going to set up t equal to 0. Okay. If I set up t equal to 0, my u of 0, this vector become, when I substitute t equal to 0 here, okay, I will get this as summation n to n. All the sine term would be equal to 0 at t equal to 0, right? So I would be only left with cos terms, which would be equal to 1, and this would become an times phi n. Okay, similarly, in the second equation, if I write t equal to 0, I would get as u dot equal to 0 is summation n equal to 1. I would have omega n times phi n times all the sine term would be equal to 0 and the cos term would be equal to 1. So this would be equal to bn, or maybe I should write it like this. Bn omega n times phi n. Okay. Now, does it remind you of something? If you look at this expression here and here, this is nothing but the modal expansion of these two vectors at time t equal to 0. Okay, let us say that I'm writing an is equal to qn of 0 and bn times omega n is equal to qn dot equal to 0. Okay, just another constant, that's all. So that's why my u of 0 becomes summation n equal to 1. Now this would look more familiar to you. Okay, qn 0, or maybe phi n, I will write it first. Okay, and u dot of 0 is equal to summation n equal to 1 phi n times q1 of 0, right? And I know that if you compare this expression, these factors I have already determined, right? These factors are nothing but what we have found out here, and then in the subsequent example qn. So only thing is that now u has become u0, so that I'll just write it in the same form. So my q1 0 has become phi n transpose times m times the u vector, which is the u0 vector, divided by m of n. Okay, qn dot 0 is phi n transpose m times u dot 0, that vector u vector, divided by m. And in terms of, let us remember, q and t was nothing but what? An cos omega nt plus bn sin omega nt. Okay, and if I write a and bn in terms of these expressions, remember, an is qn0, bn is qn0 by omega n. So that I can write it as qn0 cos omega nt plus qn0 dot divided by omega n times sin omega nt. And if you remember, this is of the similar form that we had done for single degree of freedom system. Okay, so we have this. We also have the values qn0 and qn dot 0. Can we not get the total response? Okay, what would be my total response? ut as summation n equal to 1 to n phi n times qn of 0, okay, times cos omega nt plus Qn dot 0 divided by omega n sine omega n t. I'm just substituting the value of Qn t here. Okay, phi n times and then taking the summation from n equal to 1 to n to get the total response. Okay, so or like let me just first write it down so that you don't get confused. This is n equal to 1 to n phi n times Qnt, which basically I've written below. Okay, and this is the expression for Qnt. So what we have learned here, what we have done to solve a multi-degree of freedom system. Okay, we have considered a multi-degree of freedom system to be represented by n single degree of freedom system. Okay, which basically represents each mode shape with a frequency, and then we are combining these mode shapes to get the total response, and that combining factor we can determine from the expressions that we have derived here. So this completes the solution for the free vibration response. Okay, let us actually do example to see how that we actually do it. So again, we are going to consider the same system that we have. This is 2k, this is k, this is 2m, and this is m. Phi 1 we had derived this for 1 by 2, 1. Okay, and phi 2 we had derived for -1 and 1. Now what I'm telling you, these are given initial displacement, okay, which is represented by this displacement vector as 1 by 2 and 1. Okay, and 0 initial velocity. So there was no initial velocity. Okay, so 0, 0, let us say. Can you find out what is my ut total response, which is basically u1 and u2t, utilizing this expression that we have derived? Can you do that for me? Okay, take 5 minutes and do that. And once you are done with that, consider, so this is the first part. Again, consider another situation in which the initial condition is given at the initial displacement vector as minus, let us say half, and this, and velocity again as 0. Then again get me the same thing. So solve this problem, see what you get as this final answer. Remember, it's very important multi-degree of freedom system to solve all the problem up to last step. More you do these problems, more you would be familiar and less likely to do any mistakes with silly mistakes I'm talking about. Mistakes like bungling mode shapes with the degree of freedom, looking at the contribution and confusing what comes from where, which subscripts represent to what values. So it's imperative that don't just think that, okay, this looks simple and I can do it. You actually solve that problem and get the final answer. Go up to the last step. Unless you do that, you won't know where you are likely to do the mistake. Okay, so get me the final answer for both these cases. Should we see what do we get? Let us first do this first part. Okay, the initial displacement has been given to me. All I need to do is to find out the total solution, is to get these quantities. Okay, and how do we get that? Well, let us go ahead and find out the, for let us say Qn. Okay, so first I'm going to find out Qn 0. This vector would be nothing but mode shape phi 1 times t times the mass vector times the initial condition u0, and then again phi 1 t times mass times u0. Okay, this I know that as half 1 2m 0 0 m, and then this u0 is given as half 1. Okay, and this is half 1 again mass 0, 0 m. So if you look at this, numerator and denominator are exactly same. So this would give me 1. Okay. Second thing to do is to get the Q2 0, which would be phi2 transpose m transpose u0, and then phi2 transpose m transpose phi2. Okay, you can substitute the value and you will see that Q2 you get as 0. Okay, it's not a vector here. Okay, so then don't confuse. Now Q1 dot and Q2 dot, we can simply say that because u dot 0 is 0, so this would be equal to 0. So the total response would be u1 t would be equal to, so this is the contribution of the first mode, phi1 times q1, let me not write it like that, phi1 times q1t. And what is phi1 times q1t? q1t is q10 cos omega 1t. This is 1 here. Okay, 1 times this, and this is half 1 cos omega nt. u2t would be equal to phi2 times q2t equal. Now remember, q2t would be 0 because my q2 0 is 0 and q2 dot is 0. So this is equal to 0. So the total response ut, which is basically, remember, this is for each mode shape, not the degree of freedom. Just be careful. You could have directly also written this as, instead of finding out separately, it is up to you. Just write down phi1, phi2 like this, and q1, q2. You would still get the same answer. Okay, or if you want to write down in terms of summation r equal to n to 2, okay, and this would be phi n times qn t, so that it would be direct sum. Okay, so this you directly get as half 1 n cos omega n t. Okay, there is nothing else. So the total response is actually this. Now, for the second case, okay, I'm just going to write down the final answer. Okay, basically minus half and 2 was given as u0, and there was no basically velocity. Sorry, this is initial displacement. For this case, you can again follow the same procedure. Okay, and you can get ut as, let us call this, these are degrees of freedom. Okay, at each degree of freedom, first mode times cos omega 1t plus second mode times cos omega 2t. Now I want you to look at these two solutions here. What do you observe? If you look at here, there is no omega 2 term here and the phi 2 term not here. Basically q2 becomes 0. It means, okay, or q2t becomes 0. It means there is no contribution of second mode. No contribution of second mode. And should not that be obvious? If you look at initial displacement, okay, the initial displacement that I gave is half and 1, which is basically one of the mode shape. Okay, and we said that if you provide initial displacement to a system, okay, in such a way, okay, there exists a mode shape so that it would vibrate keeping the same shape and it won't have any response in the other modes. Okay, and that is what is happening here. If I give it initial displacement, which is one of the mode shape, there is no contribution of the second mode shape. It will keep its shape and it will vibrate and have harmonic response at degree of freedom 1 and 2 because it is of the form cos omega t. However, let us look at the second case. This is not one of the mode shapes. This is random. Okay, this is not one of the mode shapes. This is just minus half and 2. Now in this case, what I get, for each degree of freedom, I have a term half cos omega 1t minus cos omega 2t. So this is not of the form cos of some theta times angle. It could have been if this cos omega 1 and omega t would have been the same. Then I could have written this as cos of omega t minus phi, but they are different now, so it cannot be written in this form. Okay, so in this case, both modes are contributing to the total response. Okay, and the motion at each degree of freedom is actually not harmonic. And this basically proves the claim that we had initially made at the beginning of this class about the mode shape. So if you provide initial displacement, which is one of the mode shape, of course, other mode is not going to contribute anything, because that is the characteristic shape in which if you provide initial displacement, it maintains that mode shape. Okay, and it would have harmonic motion at each degree of freedom. Okay, but in general, if you have a different displacement which are different from the mode shape, then you would have in general contribution from all the modes. Okay, the motion at each degree of freedom would not be harmonic. Is this clear to every one of you? Anybody has any doubt up to this point? Please tell me. If not, we are going to conclude this class here today.